Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program so that your friends can know where the conversation is taking place. Also, if you have not already done so, please make it a point to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And in the case of YouTube and Facebook, make sure you hit that notification button. That way, you'll get notified as soon as we go live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Also, want to tell you, got to make sure to visit fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. It is the place to get all of your Pro 2A swag. Trust me, we've got it. Something for you, something for your significant other, something for the home or the office, or just something so that you can go out and be safe during this environment of COVID-19. It's all right there. All you got to do, go to fpcgear.com. The best thing is every dollar that you spend goes right back in the fight for our right to keep and bear arms, so you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. Well, folks, it's that time of year again. It's the end of the legislative session in Washington, D.C., and there's always a handful of bills that are still alive that concern us. And there's one piece of legislation in particular that concerns us, and that is the TAPS Act. Right now, this is a piece. The reason why this concerns us is because this has support from both sides of the aisle. And this is vitally important that you guys listen to and understand exactly what's going on with this particular piece of legislation. It is, in essence, it further expands the government's ability to be able to spy on you and I. And that's really what it's about. I mean, if you're concerned about the overreach of the Patriot Act, this right here is a measure that, in fact, should scare you. Let's talk a little bit about what the TAPS Act is and the problems that are involved in it. So first of all, it's important to know that there are a couple of important updates. 47 new co-sponsors have signed on to the bill since the COVID started, since March 2020. There are 180 total co-sponsors. Now, this is significant in a couple of different ways. First of all, there are 90 Republicans and there are 90 Democrats, meaning this bill is the definition of bipartisan. That is concerning. The also thing to note is it's 180 out of 435 members of Congress. That means that only 38 more are necessary in order for this measure to pass, meaning that there are 38 people right now in Congress who decide, well, I don't necessarily want to be a co-sponsor, but I'll vote for it. This bill can actually pass the House. Folks, that is very disconcerting. Now, it's also important to note that Representative Scott and I, anyway, I wasn't going to try and butcher his name, but I tried and I butchered it. But anyway, it's important to note that he has withdrawn his co-sponsorship of the bill just after we brought this to his attention last year, right? The thing is a lot of them don't know the truth about what this bill is because you have people in their caucus who are not telling them completely what this bill is because they don't see it as this way, right? That's the important thing to understand. They see this as, well, this is about promoting security and going after the bad guys. And it's really not. It's about spying on you and me in hopes of getting the bad guy. What do I mean by that? Okay, so what does H.R. 838 do? It permits levels of espionage against American people that basically we have not seen before, like spying on our kids in school and the stuff and the computers, their searches at schools, basically spying on them. Establish a task force to oversee national strategy of, quote, targeted violence through behavioral threat assessment. Folks, what is that? What exactly are they looking to do with this particular thing? I mean, this task force is going to have 24 people. None of them, they're not going to be elected. They're basically going to be people who are going to put together this idea. And I'll tell you what it is. It's going to be like a pre-crime. What does that mean? It means that they're going to give the Department of Homeland Security the authority to issue grants to quote-unquote eligible entities in order to encourage those entities to hand over information to fusion centers, which are defined as collaborative efforts of state, federal, and local governments with the goal of maximizing the ability of such agencies to detect, prevent, investigate, apprehend, and respond to criminal or terrorist activity. here's the fundamentals of it. The government would then use the data collected to build behavioral models based on otherwise harmless behavior that would model. That model could then be used to target unwitting innocent gun owners as potential threats. Folks, this is pre-crime. This is saying, look, okay, so based on people's behaviors, like purchasing more than one gun in 30 days, or doing certain Google searches, right? Posting online, utilizing certain terms. Any confluence of those, any bringing together of any of those entities, they're going to be able to look. They're going to look at it and they're going to say, people who do that are likely going to commit a crime. Let's go arrest them. Now, you may say that, well, no, they don't do that, or no, they can't do that. I can tell you right now, it's already happened at least once here in Sacramento County. It's an individual. We did a story on it. It was an individual who evidently runs or works with a hate group. They host a podcast, and they eventually, here in Sacramento County, they went and they seized his firearms, utilizing a red flag law, because he might be a threat. I'm telling you, this is the sort of stuff that they're going to do. And once again, things like purchasing more than one gun in 30 days, or recently purchasing a gun, and then saying the wrong things online. Those are things that are going to be basically going to be termed as red flags. And it's going to give and create the ability, this funding is going to create the ability for them to then turn around and come after you. I joked when we talked about this a year ago with Matt LaRosiere about this, it's like the movie Minority Report, only it doesn't include psychics. And he made it a point to say, well, yeah, based on the language, we don't know that it does not include psychics. Because it could. That could very well be the direction that they go with this. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I'm trying to be an alarmist, all right? I really am. The big deal with this is partially this. Look, this is going to authorize the government to spend $25 million through 2024. Basically, it's going to be somewhere around the area of $100 million in taxpayer money to spy on the American people. Folks, this is potentially the most dangerous piece of legislation when it comes to liberty than the Patriot Act, because what we're talking about here, once again, is increasing the ability of government to spy on Americans and spending over $100 million of our money to do it. And that is not something that we can support. So here's what we need you to do. We need you to go to stophr838.com. That's stophr838.com. There you can read more about the legislation. You can read the actual legislation in the language. And then you can also send a message to not just your elected official, but to all of those who are going to be voting on this piece of legislation, and tell them to stand up for liberty. Right? We understand you want to keep us secure, but you know what? Our liberty is vitally important, and having government spy on us is not exactly an example of liberty. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program, telling your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them, or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.